Hey folks, Eric Bray, Focus Fishing Guide Service. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Tuesday, October 1st, and it's 92 degrees. They say we got a big weather change coming in the next couple of days. Hopefully they are correct. Probably like a lot of you, I am done with summer. It's good. We can have fall now. Been on the water pretty much every day for the last week. I'm actually up at Stockton today. Had the day off and ran up here to kind of practice for the Web Outdoors Championship. Had a decent morning, nothing great, but had a decent morning, caught a few. As far as our lake level on Table Rock, we are at 915.22, which puts us, 1.78 feet below normal. Water temperature, we are still in the mid 80s, low 80s, still in the low 80s. 81 to 82, sometimes some 83s in the afternoon. Like I said, they're calling for a big cool down this week, which should make a huge difference. And hopefully we do get this big cool down because we really need these fish to start moving. There are some fish up shallow. We've been catching them shallow, but it's just not being great. I may have jumped the gun a little bit last week. We had a couple of rainy, cloudy days where we caught them real good shallow. And as soon as that system moved on and we got back to this 90-degree weather, the shallow bite slowed down quite a bit. Still catching a few shallow, but it did slow down quite a bit. But if you guys are coming down, say you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, I'm going to keep telling you to have a topwater handy. Topwater bite has been really hit and miss. Some days you will catch the heck out of them. Some days you'll catch a lot of fish on a topwater. Some days you might get one or two blow-ups, and other days you might not even have one blow up. You'll see them busting shad all around you, and they're hard to catch. So have it tied on, your spook, your Sammy, whopper, plopper, surge shad, whatever you want to throw. Have that tied on because we are still catching a few. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to the weather pattern why they bite better on some days than the other. And I think it's just where the shad are at and how they're moving, but make sure you have a topwater tied on. Have your drop shot going, still on the lower end. Your most consistent bite is going to be a drop shot rig. Most of the fish, it's about a 50-50 split. I'd say half of the fish we're catching are out of treetops, anywhere from about 25 to 35 feet down. And the other half are going to be out on gravel runouts, anywhere from about 22 to about 32 feet. Most of these fish are not really grouped up great. Some of the ones in the trees are grouped up, but the ones out on the points, you got to kind of work your way around and find a few of them, and you'll pick off one here or there. They're not really grouped up great, but you can catch them doing both with a shad shaped cut tail or UV drop shot worm. And then the shallow bite. I mean, we had a decent shallow bite going, actually a pretty good shallow bite going when it was cloudy and rainy. I'm hoping that this weather change, and it's supposed to be cloudy and cooler, I hope that that will really get that shallow bite fired up again on the lower end. Catch them on a jewel, pro spider jig, Okeechobee blue, green pumpkin candy, watermelon candy, bass whacker matched up with a speed crawl. That's been the best combo there. Catching them on the jewel squirrel head with either a beaver or a speed craw or a finesse worm on it, and catching a few on the Ned rig as well, the jewel Ned head matched up with either half a sticko or a TRD, and then catching a few on the jewel tender tube as well. Puke or green pumpkin, again, seems like green pumpkin's been a little bit stronger, but towards the end of the week last week, that shallow bite really slowed down. I think if we get this weather they're calling for, that shallow bite will pick back up again. Go up into the mid-lake area, and same bites are working. The shallow bite is a little bit stronger in the mid-lake than it is down by the dam. Definitely have a topwater tied on, spook, Sammy, whopper, plopper, surge shad, whatever you like to throw. Have that ready because we are getting a little bit better topwater bite in the mid-lake as well. Drop shot rig is still working both in the treetops and on the gravel runouts. I'd say the gravel runouts are a little bit better in the mid-lake area than they are down by the dam. Most of those fish are coming 22 to 32 feet deep on a shad shape, cut tail, UV drop shot worm, whatever you like to drop shot. You're still going to have to hunt and peck, but they seem like they may be just a little bit more grouped up when you're down there on the mid-lake area, more than they are down by the dam. And then the shallow bite has been much stronger there. Jewel Pro Spider Jig, Okeechobee Blue, Green Pumpkin Candy, Bass Whacker, Peanut Butter and Jelly, all those colors matched up with the Speed Craw. Most of those fish are coming on that gravel and rock mix stuff, just like they are down by the dam, or even kind of channel swing stuff. The ends of channel swings in the bigger creeks have been pretty good too. And it's the same deal, guys. Until this cools off and a lot more fish move up shallow, you'll catch 2 or 3 and then you'll go 50, 60, 100 yards before you get another bite. But don't give up and think you caught the only ones on there. There are more fish moving up all the time. And I mean, we're catching them on the spider jig, we're catching them on the squirrel head, we're catching them on the jewel net head, and catching a few on the Bass Pro tender tube. All those are working on those gravel and rock mix points and banks and the channel swing banks. And remember to key on the ends of those channel swing banks. Go up into the James. Did have a couple of trips up the James last week. One was good, one was not. The one that was good, we had better weather. I mean, it had rained that morning. We had some decent cloud cover. We had a good topwater bite first thing in the morning on a spook, a Sammy, surge shad, whopper plopper. Caught a few on top, and then managed to pick off a few more on a Jewel Pro spider jig and on the Jewel squirrel head, matched up with a beaver or matched up with a speed craw. Went out the next day and did not have the cloud cover, and it was much tougher. We did manage a few, but it was definitely a lot tougher than the second day, just without the cloud cover, without the wind. It just was a much tougher day to fish. So they are biting a jig up there. They are biting a football jig up there as well. The Jewel half ounce or 5/8 ounce football jig matched up with the bigger speed craw, the super speed craw, out on those gravel and rock mix points and runouts. Most of those football jig fish are in that 15 to 20 to 25 foot range. Most of the fish we're catching on that spider jig and the squirrel head and the Ned rig and the tender tube are a lot shallower. It seems like when those fish are biting, they're in that 10 to 15, 10 to 18 foot range. So keep that in mind as well. White River, did do one trip up the White River, specifically went out to drop shot, and the drop shot bite was pretty strong. Caught a lot of fish on a shad shape, cut tail, UV drop shot worm, Chomper's drop shot worm. Caught them out of trees, caught them off of the gravel runouts as well. Same sort of depth, anywhere from about 22 to 35 seems to be the best depth there. Have been up there throwing a topwater as well. There were a lot of fish busting last week up there. Caught several up there. It was one of those good topwater days instead of one of the mediocre or horrible topwater days. So if you're going up the White, have a spook, Sammy, whopper plopper, surge shad tied on, and then a jig. Went up there just fun fishing over the weekend and threw a jig quite a bit. Jewel Pro spider jig, Okeechobee blue and bass whacker were the two best colors we had, matched up with a speed craw. Did catch some on a squirrel head as well. They were biting the squirrel head with a Senko on it more than anything else. So we did catch them on a Senko or Sticko, whichever one you like to throw, but have been catching them with a speed craw or a beaver. Any of those baits have been working on the squirrel head as well, so make sure you've got that rigged up. Didn't throw a tube up there, but I'm sure if I'm catching them on a speed or on the squirrel head, I can catch them on a tube as well. Bass Pro tender tube, puke, or green pumpkin should be good. And didn't throw the net head, but I'm sure the Jewel net head matched up with half a Sticko or a TRD will catch them as well up there. So keep that in mind. Keep in mind we've got a real big weather change. Cross your fingers that we actually get it coming this week. It will change the bite. Probably the first couple of days after the weather change, it'll be a little bit tougher, but if this weather change holds and we're only going to have highs in the 70s and low 80s, these fish are really going to move up and they're going to start feeding really good, and we can start talking about throwing spinner baits, buzz baits, crankbaits, that sort of thing. Should be hot over the next couple of weeks. But I'm tired of summer, and I'm sure most of you guys are too. I'm tired of sweating out here every day. But guys, if you're coming down, say you got a derby coming up, say you're just coming down for fun, say you just want to go fishing for fun. I've got some dates open in October. November's wide open. November's a great time to learn to fish a football jig. So if any of y'all out there want to learn how to fish a football jig, I'd say end of October into November. I've got a few openings there, so I definitely look at coming down then. But if you're wanting to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either shoot me an email, book online, however you want to do it. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. We'll get hooked up, figure out dates and times, get out there on the water, catch some fish, have a good time, maybe learn something, who knows. But guys, thanks for watching the videos. Take a minute to subscribe if you haven't done that. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.